A stranger appears at the edge of your camp. It is 6,000 years ago. You do not know him. You have never seen him. He is alone, dusty, holding nothing visible in his hands. You have to decide in the next minute whether to welcome him, warn him away, or prepare for danger. The modern world is built on strangers. You buy coffee from one. You sit next to one on the train. You walk past hundreds every day and barely register them. Strangeness is the default texture of urban life. This is historically extremely weird. For most of human history, an unknown person at the edge of your group was a problem with no easy solution. They might be a traitor, a refugee, a relative from a distant clan, a spy, a thief, a sick person, a messenger of war, or a god in disguise. Every one of these was possible. Every one of them required a different response. And in the first 30 seconds, you usually could not tell which it was. So humans developed something specific, a whole architecture of how to receive an unknown person. This architecture goes by different names in different places, but the most common one in English is hospitality. And ancient hospitality was not the warm modern version where you offer tea and a guest room. It was a tense ritual that could go wrong fast. The reason it mattered was simple. In a small group world, your reputation traveled. The way you treated the stranger today was the way your reputation would arrive in the next village tomorrow. If you killed travelers, you became known as a place that killed travelers. And the next traveler that came was probably better armed and angrier. If you welcomed travelers, you became known as a place that welcomed travelers. And you got news, trade, allies, and useful information that no isolated group could otherwise get. Hospitality was a long-term investment in the reputation of the household, but it was also a real risk. A stranger inside the gate was a stranger you had to feed, house, and protect. While they were inside, they could not be attacked, and they could not attack you. The guest-host relationship in many ancient cultures had sacred protection. To violate it was a major crime, often punishable by the gods directly. The Greek word for stranger and guest is the same word, xenos. The Greek word for divine hospitality, xenia, was so important that the violation of it was the moral engine of major myths. The Trojan War, in Homer's telling, begins with a guest betraying his host. Picture it at the edge of camp. The stranger stops where everyone can see him. He does not walk straight in. That would be dangerous. He raises empty hands, calls out, waits. People inside the camp look at his face, his hands, his belt, his feet, his accent, his wounds, what he carries, what he does not carry. The first test is distance. Someone comes out to meet him, often the head of a household. Names are exchanged. Group names, family names, reason for travel. Not a relaxed chat, a reading. Is he hungry? Is he armed? Is he sick? Is he afraid? Is someone behind him? Then comes the doorway, or the line around the fire, or the edge of the shelter. This is the dangerous moment. Outside, the stranger is still unknown. Inside, he becomes protected. In many ancient cultures, crossing the threshold placed a guest under the household's care. To harm him after that could break oaths, anger gods, insult ancestors, or destroy reputation. The stranger also becomes bound. He cannot steal. He cannot attack. He cannot insult the household. He has been brought close, so he must behave like someone close. For a short time, he is almost family. Food and water make it real. Bread, meat, milk, beer, salt, whatever the place has. To eat with someone is to step out of enemy space. You do not normally feed a person you plan to kill. In many Mediterranean and Near Eastern cultures, salt carried special weight. To eat someone's salt could mean a lasting bond of hospitality. Only after food comes the deeper question. Where are you from? What news? Who sent you? What happened on the road? Many cultures had rules against pressing a guest too soon. Let the road dust settle. Let hunger calm. Then ask. When the guest leaves, he may carry a small gift. Food, a bead, a token, a useful object. The gift is memory you can hold. Years later, a household might remember, your people ate at our fire. Some ancient finds of beads, small tokens, or foreign-looking objects may reflect gifts, trade, marriage ties, migration, or other contacts. One evening at a doorway can be hard to separate from the whole network around it. Behind all of these rituals was fear, real, calculated fear. Strangers could carry disease, and outbreaks could move through travel and trade networks. Strangers brought information about a population's vulnerabilities. A scout who ate at your fire was a scout who learned how many fighters you had and what your weapons looked like. Strangers brought new gods, new ideas, and new obligations. Strangers brought goods, stories, and ways of doing things that might change a community. So many cultures had explicit categories for who counted as a true stranger and what to do about them. Some strangers were welcomed as guests. Some were welcomed as traders only, kept at the edge of the village. Some were turned away. Some were treated as enemies. The rules varied, but every group had rules. Improvisation in front of a stranger was dangerous. The ritual gave everyone a script. There was also a darker layer. The stranger could be a test. Many ancient mythologies have stories of gods, ancestors, or magical beings appearing as travelers to test the hospitality of a community. The community that welcomed the disguised god was blessed. The community that turned them away was destroyed. These stories are not random. They are training materials. They taught the young that you never know who is at the door. You behave well because you cannot afford to behave badly. The cost might be catastrophic and invisible. When you think about why so many ancient texts make a huge deal of welcoming strangers, this is the context. It is not just a moral preference. It is a survival strategy carved into religion. Be kind to the stranger, because the stranger could be a god, could be a king, could be the only person who can save you in your future moment of need. And it worked. Most ancient travel happened because hospitality networks made it possible. Without them, no traveler could safely cross unknown territory. With them, a single, carefully maintained network of households could let a trader, a pilgrim, or a refugee move from one end of a region to the other, sleeping under different roofs every night, eating other people's food, and arriving at the destination alive. The road existed because the doorway existed. Modern cities have eroded this. We do not need hospitality the way our ancestors did, because we have hotels, restaurants, police, and roads. We treat strangers as background. We have lost the ritual, but not the instinct. Notice how you feel when an unknown person knocks on your door at night. Notice the alertness. Notice how much information you process about them in the first 3 seconds. Notice how relieved you are if they turn out to be ordinary. That is the older brain still doing its job. The world has changed. The decision is the same one your ancestors made for thousands of years. Open the door. Or do not. The next minute will tell you everything. When was the last time a stranger at your door made you tense? Tell me below. A stranger tested hospitality. A city without police tested everyone.